Hey folks, this is Steve. Before we jump into tonight's show, I just wanted to give everybody a little heads up. This is a little bit edgier show, pun intended. It's about Christy's time and her family's time on the edge, and we do touch a little bit more on alcohol than we normally do. I know there's some families out there that listen together sometimes in the car, so I just wanted to give you a heads up. It's nothing over the top, I don't think, but if that's something that you don't want to listen to with your kids, we've just got a couple moments where we talk about it, and I just didn't want to catch you off guard. So thanks for coming back and taking a listen, and enjoy this week's show all about Christy and her family's trip on the Celebrity Edge. Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast. It is always good to welcome back from vacation the co-host of the show, Christy Puttick from Pack Your Pixie Dust. How are you doing today, Christy?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. And you just got back from another cruise. Was it 2 weeks ago now on the Celebrity Edge?
I think it was like 3 weeks ago, and it feels like a lifetime ago, which is a problem.
That means you're thinking about your next vacation, aren't you?
Always.
I think I saw you on Facebook or something like that. You posted. When's your next one again?
Well, I am, in fact, going to Cuba in March. So it went off the schedule and came back on the schedule, and I will be back in a month. So I leave. It's a weekend trip. I go in the middle of March.
And then Disney's after that for spring break, right?
Yes, but it's after spring break. Okay. We are actually taking him out of school.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, before we jump into today's show, we got a couple of things to talk about. We had a contest winner. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. On our Facebook page and Instagram page, we gave away a DCL magnet, and Erin from California was our winner, and her magnet went out last week. So, Erin, if you didn't get it, let us know.
That's awesome. And stay tuned to the Facebook page and also to Instagram for some further contests coming soon, right?
Absolutely. Always.
And I'm gonna throw just kind of a loop here. We didn't even talk about this, but Amber, who was on earlier and did a trip report, she kind of threw this out as far as Instagram. And I am an Instagram neophyte. I need to learn how to do it because like all the kids do Instagram. And Christy, you're the one running it. But she thought it might be kind of cool to do like an Instagram takeover. So when one of our listeners that was going out on a cruise could just take over the feed and post pictures. Have you ever thought about that? Or what do you think about that?
I think it's awesome. I love the idea. My only thing I don't understand is how we would share the access.
Okay, so if anybody out there is an Instagram user that understands that and knows it probably a little bit better than, well, definitely better than me, but better than the two of us.
Everybody knows it better than you.
I know. I'm struggling just to keep up with Facebook and Twitter. So, but yeah, if anybody knows how to do that, I think that might be kind of a cool thing to do. So reach out to Christy or I, and we'll see if we can get that going. So if you're going to be heading out on a cruise here soon with DCL and would like to share your pictures via our Instagram feed, maybe we can try and do that and see how that turns out.
At a minimum, they can send me the pictures and they can email it to me. They can find my email on the website at packyourpixiedust.com. My email is Christy@packyourpixiedust.com, CHRISTY. And I can post them. So at a minimum, we can do it that way. But it would be much easier if somebody else could just take it over.
Yeah, because Amy is on her cruise right now. She's on the Fantasy, another one of our listeners. And she put some pictures on kind of a group that she has on Facebook. And I tweeted out two of them, and I'll try and put them up on our Facebook page. But just some beautiful pictures of the Fantasy. You can tell it's early in the morning because there's nobody around. And she must be like me, getting up early and wandering around and just taking pictures. But just some beautiful shots of the Fantasy early in the morning with the light hitting the pool deck area.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, so if we could, if you want to share your pictures and your vacation on it, let's see if we can do that. I think that might be a lot of fun.
I agree.
So one other thing before we get into today's show, I had an opportunity, been doing a little flying. I had an Orlando layover, and it was super cool to go over to Epcot and run into Dave Avanzino, a Disney artist that we had on back on episode, I believe, 51. Yeah, episode 51. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Dave, he is just an amazing artist. He does kind of three-dimensional art. He was a set designer at one point. I think he still does that a little bit, but just a super friendly guy. And have you been to the Festival of the Arts before, Christy?
I don't know. I don't know. I think I would have been last year, but I can't tell. I can't remember if those dates would have overlapped.
Yeah, I mean it's super cool because they've got artwork all around kind of the World Showcase area at least, and a little bit into Future World too, and most of it's Disney art. And I've heard some people, like say it used to be more diverse and not just Disney stuff. There was some, like I went by and there was the Sandal. What's the shoe company that the guy started that he sends shoes out to people that need, like, third world countries?
Tom's.
Yeah, Tom's. There was a booth from Tom's, so I didn't stop in there. Maybe you could get some prints on his stuff, but I mean, I thought it was kind of diverse. I thought that was kind of different.
Tom's has a Disney line now.
So that's why they were there.
Yes.
Okay.
They're super cute too.
Okay, so Tom's was there, but then also like people like Dave. And the cool thing was, I mean, Dave was there, so you can talk to him about his art. And he's the type of person that will create stuff for you. He does the words, like, so you can have him spell out magic or whatever you want him to spell out with. And then he uses different letters from characters from the ships or from the lands, like from Fantasyland or from the Haunted Mansion. And he can help you design that right there. But it was just super cool to actually meet the artist.
His artwork is awesome. We actually posted a picture of you and he on our Instagram page. I stole it from your Facebook post and I put it on Instagram.
Look at that. See, I need to get on Instagram a little bit more so I can see that. So,
And he responded because I said, I just actually stole your whole post about how it was fun to meet him, and he responded that it was fun to meet you as well.
Yeah, we talked for about like 15 minutes. It was super fun just kind of catching up. And anyways, if you haven't been to Festival of the Arts and that's something you're interested in, I mean, I think it's kind of the hidden aspect of it is that you can actually meet the artist there, and I think that is really cool. So that was a lot of fun doing that. So check out Dave Avanzino. You can find him on Dave Avanzino Designs on Facebook. And once again, you can listen to kind of his backstory on episode 51 if you want to go back there and listen to that. So anything else you can think of before we talk about your cruise on the Edge, Christy?
No other housekeeping.
No other housekeeping. Okay, so let's jump back into it. You were back on the Edge after having done back-to-back 2-night cruises they were more... Well, one you booked yourself, and then one was kind of an agent cruise, right?
Yes, they were both contests,
Okay.
I acquired both cruises through contests. So one of them I entered as a consumer, and then one of them I entered as a travel agent.
Okay, and so that was in January, and now you rebooked a cruise, this time with your family, and we are going to talk about that now and just kind of what your thoughts were after spending a little bit more time on her. And I guess let's just start with that. Who all went, and why did you want to go back on the Celebrity Edge again, I guess?
Let me first start with episode 69 is where we discussed the preview cruises. The preview cruises were in November. This January cruise, I actually booked it the opening day. So when you could book cruises, when you could book this ship, and actually I was calling to ask a question, and the lady was like, oh, it's open, because I thought it was going to open later in the day. And I think I was one of the first people to book. So it wasn't even necessarily that I was trying to go back on the ship, although I'm always trying to go back on every ship, it seems. It was that I had booked it, and then I won those preview cruises. So I booked this cruise, won preview cruises, and then this cruise was after those cruises, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does. And where did it leave out of, and where did it go?
It left out of Fort Lauderdale. They have a new pier, a new building there. It was really nice. And it went to the Western Caribbean. So we went to the Grand Caymans, Costa Maya, Cozumel, and Key West.
Okay. And why don't we frame Celebrity for those who haven't listened to some of the previous shows? Because I think you do a good overview of kind of what your thoughts are on Celebrity as far as who might look to sail them, kind of like their price point, and not specific price point, but kind of like what their service is, and families versus couples versus singles. Why don't you kind of frame your thoughts on Celebrity before we talk about your actual cruise?
Celebrity caters, they have this whole theme, modern luxury. So I believe they are attempting to cater to maybe 30s and 40s, but they tend to have the 50s and the 60s on there as well. So those age ranges. They are an amazing cruise line. I put them up against Disney for service, for the little touches, for, extra nice towels and really good hair products or shampoos in their staterooms, things like that. The little things that matter. The chaise lounge chairs at the pool, they aren't the kind that you're going to find on Carnival and Royal Caribbean that have that plastic that's going to stick into your body. They are going to have fabric across all of them so that you don't have lines on your backside from sitting in this chair. So they do the little things. They are a premium cruise line, and they do, just like Disney is, they do the little things that give them that premium cruise line category. So there's the mass market. Mass market cruise line is NCL, Royal Caribbean, and Carnival. The premium is Celebrity and Princess and Disney, and they definitely fit into that category. The kids clubs, they have them, and they're fantastic, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. They are great, but it is not like a whole half a ship like on Disney Cruise Line. And there's not a million children. And so sometimes that's actually good, even for your own family, because maybe your kids get overwhelmed by large amounts of kids or things like that, or maybe it's just my kid. So that kind of gives you an idea. They don't have a rock climbing wall, but this particular ship, at least the Edge, has one of the largest pools at sea, which I think is fantastic. So that just is a little bit, I think I actually explained it a little bit better in the last episode when we talked about it, but that gives you a little bit of a feedback of just what it is. Service is impeccable. Their food is impeccable. They really try to focus on those things as opposed to, you know, whether you're going to get your rock climbing wall time in that day.
Okay, and how about just families on board? Did you have a sense of like how many like families with kids are traveling with you?
On that particular cruise, there were 38 total children under the age of 17.
Oh, man. So nice.
I don't know that I've ever had a cruise with less children, ever.
Okay.
I don't actually think the captain's daughter counted in that 38, and so she was on board, so then I guess there's 39. Our captain did have his daughter, who was about 4.5, on board as well, and she would occasionally be in the kids club and was up in the bridge and just, you know, places like that. So I think he was on his last 2 weeks of the cruise, and so I think that's why his family was on.
Well, Captain Steubing always brought his daughter with on the Love Boat, so...
There you go.
Yeah, why wouldn't the captain of the Celebrity Edge have his daughter with as well?
Exactly. Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Yeah. So, you know, just kind of look at a celebrity. So if you're looking for an alternative to Disney quality-wise and service-wise, Celebrity might be a good option for you. And the one cool thing, too, about Celebrity is the fact that, man, I'm looking at where they sail. They go everywhere. They go to Alaska, Asia, Australia, Canada, Bermuda, the Caribbean, Europe, the Galapagos, the Pacific Coast, the Panama Canal, Hawaii, the Med, South America, Trans-Pacific. So, you know, if you want to step out of the Disney bubble or maybe you want to go someplace that Disney does not cruise yet, this might be a good option for you to look into. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what I think I hear you saying, right, Christy?
Yes, you said it better than I did, but yes.
So, well, okay, let's jump into your cruise. Who all went this time?
Cruising was my son, 5.5, my husband, my mom in her own cabin, and actually my cousin Jennifer came along on this cruise as well, and she stayed in my mom's cabin.
So you guys leave from Fort Lauderdale. They've got a new cruise terminal down there. How was embarkation?
Man, it was a breeze. So Celebrity is doing, and this is one of the cool things, I guess, of the ship and probably of the future of cruising, everything is all computerized now. And so they scan your app, actually, and there's a barcode in there, and that gets you right through. It was quick. Now, obviously on the one end, we were in a suite, and Celebrity has different levels of suites, and we were in one of their upper end suites, and so with that actually came a guy that ushered us along to tell us where to go, so that was its fun, own, unique experience. Like, literally, you get dropped off at this particular curb. Like, they sent me an email that said, you're going to go up to this spot and put this in your dashboard, and somebody is going to come to your car and welcome you and stay. And I kid you not, this guy, like, stayed with us all the way through the process of checking in up until the very end. It was almost comical because it was just like this little friend that just was with you. And he just ushered us where we had to go. But I can for sure say that the other people I spoke with, and thinking back to my preview cruises, the quickest embarkation ever. In our particular case, both cabins got to stay together as well. So we both embarked at the same time.
Yeah, I really hope Disney embraces that. I was listening to another podcast. They were talking about getting on Symphony of the Seas or one of the FCs with because Celebrity falls underneath Royal Caribbean, right?
It does.
Yeah. So, and they were talking about getting on Royal Caribbean ship and like how fast that is. And I really hope that as Disney, redoes their terminal in Port Canaveral and with the new ships coming on, they kind of start to embrace that too, because wouldn't that be awesome just to show up, get your pictures taken with whatever characters are out there.
Oh, right. Because I was going to say, you actually upload your picture ahead of time. Like, they give you the instructions on how to do it, And so that the picture that's required for the ship is already on the app, already in their system prior to you even arriving.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were talking about the picture with the character. And yes, that would be so much better. You could just show up, get your picture, and get on the ship.
Yeah, and not have the stress of waiting through the lines and everything else. So that would be cool. So let's talk about the ship itself. You've been on her before, just recently. What were your thoughts as you step back on Celebrity Edge?
She's beautiful, and she is super easy to navigate. There is very little issue with being able to cut from one end to another, or the floor is not connecting, which you do find on some other ships and other cruises. So that was really nice that it was just super easy to move around. She's beautiful.
And just size-wise, I believe she's about the same size as the Fantasy and the Dream?
Yes.
Okay. So you get on the Celebrity Edge, Disney Cruise Line, you're going to Cabanas or maybe going to a sit-down restaurant. What did you guys end up doing?
We went to the sit-down restaurant.
Okay. And how was that?
It was really great. And actually, I believe that day is when we first had our serving team, who then became our serving team as much as possible for the rest of the week, which was awesome. Celebrity has some different dining. So they have a traditional dining where you're in your same table for the entire cruise with your same serving team. Or they have open dining where there's a choice between 4 restaurants. Those are all included, plus the buffet. And you can go at whatever time you want and sit at whatever the 4 restaurants and sit wherever they place you. So you could have a different dining team each time. Because I have the food restriction of gluten, it's easier for me to have the same serving team. The restaurant that the suites are given, it's called Lumine, and that restaurant is an open dining time. And in theory, we could have had a different server, but they also ask your preference. So there were several people that all ate at the same time as we ate. So they had open seating, so you could arrive at whatever time. We did speak to the maitre d' that first day, and she said, well, if you arrive earlier, it's easier for us to give you the same dining time. Well, with my son and with myself, Frank, all of us want to eat early so that A, we can get our kid to bed, but B, because I'm hungry. So I don't want to have to eat first dinner before I go to dinner. I know that works for some people. It's just I am not a late dinner person. So she said, yeah, if you come early, we can get you the same. It'll be easier. We can get you the same dining team. And that's how it worked out. It was fantastic. It really was. They were amazing.
So kind of the same experience sort of with Disney, having the same servers all week. They get to know you, and you get that excellent service from them all week because they kind of get to know you and what your tastes are.
Yep.
That's awesome. So can we just go back just real quick? So as far as dining goes, they have specialty restaurants. Do you pay extra for those, or is it dependent upon which cabin you're in, or how does that work exactly?
Yes to all of that.
Okay.
So they have specialty restaurants. However, the 4 main dining rooms that I discussed earlier is all included, plus the buffet for dinner, is all included in your cruise fare. So you do not pay extra for that. And then Lumine, which is sort of considered a specialty restaurant, there's another one called Blue. Those are for particular cabin types. So somebody in what's called an aqua class cabin has access to Blue. And it's just one of their types of restaurants. And then the people in suites have access to Lumine. And there is no extra charge to dine in those dining rooms.
Okay. And then beyond that, is there anything beyond that people can go to, like a steakhouse or whatever?
Yes. And then on this ship, I believe there was like 4 or 5 specialty restaurants. Some of the suites, every suite includes at least one dining opportunity in a specialty restaurant included in your cost of the suite. And then if you were at one of the upper end suites, you could eat at all of the specialty restaurants for no additional charge. And what is so cool about this, on other cruise lines, if you were to go to a specialty restaurant, even if it was included, and even with Palo, with Disney, you still have to pay your tip. On Celebrity, your tip was included. Like, nobody came to me and gave me a sheet to fill out to add additional tip. They took the tips I had already paid and divided it up. No one asked me for additional money. That was awesome.
Yeah,
and unexpected, frankly.
Yeah, that's nice. So okay, so it's a little bit different dining options. Do your homework on that, but basically 4 restaurants for everybody, 2 other specialty ones dependent upon your cabin, and then other ones on top of that you have to pay for unless you're in a premium cabin or one of the top of the line cabins where it may be included. I think I got that right.
Yeah, that's a great recap.
Okay, so all right, well, you guys get on board and tell us a little bit about the cabin you booked this time.
So this time we booked what's called an Edge Villa, which was pretty amazing. And let me just say that we booked it opening minute, if you recall, and our price was significantly less than the price that it's been selling for and has sold for. So I just feel like people need to know that we did not pay the currently selling price, and then the upper end price that it's been listed at, we did not pay that either. And actually, all the cabins that were booked that first day as part of my group, the prices were amazing because they hadn't figured out maybe how to price out the cabins. Like the cabin we booked the next day, it was already $5,000 more expensive.
Wow.
Like the next day, because they were like, oh, hey, we're selling this. So anyway, we booked this Edge Villa, and I'm sure it's one and done because A, I don't want to pay for that kind of cabin again, and B, it had stairs in it, which is the whole villa concept, and Royal Caribbean has some stairs in their suites, and I didn't love that. And frankly, all three of us fell down the stairs at one point.
Oh, no.
So at least down some of the stairs. And so, yeah, I didn't love it. So I don't love having stairs apparently in the middle of my stateroom. However, the cabin was amazing. And the cabin had a little plunge pool out front or on the balcony, which Blake could not get enough of. The problem is our weather was really bad. This was the worst weather I've ever experienced on a cruise ship. It was super windy. It was cold a couple of days. Like in Key West, I think it was a high of 60, 65. It was sunny, and so that part was really quite nice about Key West, but it was not hot. It was not swimming weather.
Wow.
So we did swim, but several of the days, and not very much sun. It really was the cloudiest, coolest, even though it's January, and that certainly can be your weather in January. It was not the best weather. Okay, so back to the cabin. So it had this plunge pool. It had a gorgeous balcony. It had the bedroom upstairs with a full bathroom. And then downstairs, it had a full bathroom. So a standalone shower with a toilet and a sink. It had the bar area where, you have the mini bar set up. Not a mini bar set up, but they have the refrigerator and the cooler and things like that. And then had a really nice living room. It was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous cabin.
Now, I know you guys like to spend a lot of time in your cabin, and having the pool for Blake, that was perfect. What else did you guys do? Do they have TV programming that's pretty good for kids, or I'm just trying to think of what else you guys did hanging out in the cabin?
What's weird is we did not have the TV on at all.
Oh, good.
So they had movies that they had both included movies and paid for movies. So, and I think some of the movies included were like Frozen and some good, even Disney movies. They did not have the Disney Channel or Disney Junior. We use our iPad, so I'm not going to say he did not watch any television because we save movies and TV shows to our iPad. We have an iPad that we just dedicate towards that, an older one. And so he would watch that a little bit in the morning. Our time during the day, my son had some of his toys. We always bring cars and things like that for him to play with. So he spent time doing that. Our days just flew by. He did go on some adventures with Grandma again. The one day we had an excursion off the ship. We'll talk about in a little bit. So there was stuff. There was one day that there was bathroom shower door broke in our cabin. Not the shower door, but the bathroom door. And so that took a few hours. It took a few hours of time for just sucking up the time for cleaning it up and dealing with it. And then the next day it all sucked up a little bit of time because the people on the ship wanted to talk about it. So that took up time for sure. So I don't know. We swam. So we did swim in the little pool. Blake swam in there a few times, and then we swam in the actual pool once or twice. And so we did some stuff like that to spend the time. And my son went to the kids club 4 times this trip.
Whoa. Well, let's talk about the kids club then. What do they offer, and what all do they have there for them?
So the kids club is on the second floor. So second or third floor. It's at the bottom. There's no windows. But there's a woman who runs it who is just so sweet. And then they obviously have staff as needed as well. They had a little slide and a little ball pit. So they divide up the kids on every other cruise line but Disney by their ages so that people of different ages are in different categories. They have a giant Light Bright. Remember that game?
Uh-huh.
With so they have a huge one. So what they'll do, though, is because the giant light bright is in one section and the slide is in one section. So they'll alter the kids and say, okay, we're going to have these age if it's necessary. I think if there's 38 kids on board, they figure it out at that point, because not all 38 kids are all a part of, are all going to be at the kids club at the same time. So I think the kids club was pretty dead, which I also think is the reason my son loved it.
He had it all to himself.
He had it all to himself.
Yeah.
It was, he and a couple of other kids usually at the most, and he does not love the overwhelming situation that is the Disney Cruise Line Kids Club. He's getting older, we're going to try it again on our next cruise, but 4 times is his limit. He has never gone that many times. One day they had a family scavenger hunt, which was super fun. So my mom came and took them, but then they came back 5 minutes later because they needed a bunch of things that we just happened to have access to. Like they needed a straw, they needed a napkin, they needed a napkin signed by a bar waiter. Part of the benefits of being in a suite on celebrity ships is that they have, just like on Disney, they have a concierge lounge. The coolest thing about this Edge Villa was that the concierge lounge it's called the Retreat, was directly outside a door and through another door from our cabin.
Oh,
so
wow.
You walk out our door into a hallway, you walk through another door, and you're in this retreat. I mean, you could not have asked for a more amazing location. And in there, they serve drinks. And I know I'm slightly off topic. Well, I'm completely off topic, but let's talk about that for a second. They serve drinks in there. They have food in there. They have a bar upstairs and a whole pool, a little tiny pool up there. It's not tiny, but it's small. They have a small pool that's just dedicated for the suite guest, and that is for all of the suite guests from their lowest end ones to their highest level one. So everybody has access to that, and all the drinks are in there. Oh man, it's so awesome. That suite area is really great, and Disney could look at what Celebrity did a little bit for their ships, I hope. However, so we needed, for the scavenger hunt, a waiter's signature. So I was able to just walk across to our retreat area because they had waiters in there and get their signature. I mean, it was so awesome. So he won, actually, the scavenger hunt. I think there weren't that many other people that played, but he got a couple of prizes, which was really fun. So it was cute that they did that. The other thing that's different about Celebrity versus Disney is their kids club is not open the entire day. So I believe they close for lunch and for dinner. So you do have to look at the times guide, which they'll give you. And they give you a schedule for the entire week when you get there. So you could drop them during the hours that they are open to the kids club for, the whole time, or you can take them just for a particular activity.
Is there a cost for the kids club?
No.
And even in the evening, you don't have to pay, if you come back in the evening?
Well, there were certain hours after, I think for late night, there was a cost.
Okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. I was
No.
I know other cruise lines, during the day it might be free, but then in the evening sometimes they put an additional cost to it. So
it's not that there was a cost at 7 o'clock,
mm-hmm.
but there was potentially a cost later into the evening.
Okay. Well, we'll do some research and get it out of there. But it looks really cool. I'm playing around on the website, and it's kind of cool that they've partnered with a whole bunch of other different things so that during the day, sort of like Disney does, where they have I'm totally drawing a blank on it, the crazy professor, mad scientist.
Yes.
Yeah, stuff. They also do similar things like that where they're doing STEM stuff, they're doing artwork. So if your kids might be potentially into art, they can kind of look at a time hey, they're doing art this hour. So it's kind of cool. It's more than just putting them in a room with a bunch of Xboxes.
Right.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. So, cool. Well, let's continue with the theme of shipboard fun. What else did you guys do on board?
So my husband and cousin did trivia one day, actually a couple of times. And they did, the trivia is all through their app as well. So everything is all technology, which again, has its moments. And does everybody really want, sometimes just having a piece of paper is nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't win at trivia unless you use their app. And then the winners got luggage tags or something like that. So each time they had a different experience. And the person that ran that was super fun. They also had some, I went to meet some of my client friends that were on board one night, and it was after trivia in the same location. And my husband and cousin were they were at trivia. So after trivia, they also had some sort of mind game. And so this was some of the activities. And that particular one, it was a knot, some string or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
ropes. So it was like these games that you could play.
Right.
And so they had a bunch of different stuff like that going on. One night, my cousin and I actually did a bar crawl.
Now, was this bar crawl that you guys planned, or did the ship put it on?
No, we did it.
Okay.
We made a list of all the places that we had access to that had drinks or that had a bar. And this was our own rules. Only the two of us did it. We had to get a drink in every one. And that was basically the only rule. And we had to do it within one day. So we started at like 2:00 or maybe 3:00. I think we were pushed back a little bit. That was the day that the door broke in our cabin. No. But so I guess, and we hadn't started our bar crawl when the door broke. Yeah, so we went through and checked it off and did a picture, and I actually posted on Instagram. It was kind of cute. Every drinking location on the ship, and actually one location closed early. It was the Retreat bar, pool bar that was upstairs and outside. And I asked the Retreat, which is the area for the suite guests, I asked the Retreat concierge, I said, hey, is that bar, there's no reason it's going to be open till 8, right? And he said, yep, it's going to be open till 8. The one concierge guy actually said, I spoke to our bartender up there and said that I have some guests that'll be there before 8. You have to stay open till 8. Because sometimes the weather was really like either windy or rainy, and it was always dark by 8 o'clock, so that bar area was closed. But he said, nope, it's supposed to be open till 8. It'll be open. We get up there and it's closed.
Oh, no.
And it was like, we had 20 minutes still. And so, like, we had left, our dinner early, and we get up there. So actually, one of the concierge hosts went upstairs and opened up the bar, and it actually ended up being like one of the most fun memories of the night. She's like, we will make this work. We will get you a drink. She's like looking in all the cupboards and looking at all the stuff. We will find stuff. So then she makes us a drink. I think we had Tito's and soda. And she's like, we need something to put in here. We need like a lime or something. So she goes into the back and she finds a butter knife. And she's like slicing up a lime with a butter knife. Oh my God. Then we just squeeze it in the drink. Seriously, it was so much fun. We had such a blast that day. Such a blast. And so we went to every bar over the course of, we finished, I got back to my room at like 1 o'clock, which my husband's like, wow, you stayed out late.
Dave's like, is she ever coming back?
Yeah, right? At one point, he's like, you didn't even text me the next day, he was saying. I was like, well, but you knew where I was. I mean, you could text me. So.
Well, I'm sure he could have heard you. I'm guessing if he would have just opened up the door.
We were loud in some places. We got shished like 7 times that day. We got shished in one of the bars, in a bar.
Uh-huh.
I got shished in a bar. So anyway, we had a blast. So that was what we did one day.
Did you guys go to the Eden bar?
Yeah, we did. That was the bar we got shushed in.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
you get shushed. So at one, like we were standing up at the bar in the Eden bar too. So it's not like quiet necessarily. It's not. You're not supposed to be quiet the whole time. They're supposed to be performing around you. But then one of the Edenists actually came over to us, and I don't remember how it was that we went about telling her that we got shushed by some people. So she's like, oh, come with me. So then they were gathering some people, and they made us be loud as part of the show. And like throw these flower petals. So, oh my gosh, it was so fun.
So you performed on the edge.
I did. I was a performer.
So just for those who don't know, the Eden Bar is kind of a new concept bar by Celebrity. I think I would love to, what were people's takes on it now that had been open for a while? Still kind of different?
Same. Yeah. It's still odd. So it is performance art and a bar. So there's tons of seating, and this is in the evening. During the daytime, they have some like different meals that they'll serve back there. And it's it's floor to ceiling, several floors up of glass. It's a gorgeous space. In the evening, it's really dark, and they do that smoky air stuff that they blow out, and they use the lights, and they use different music, and they have some aerialists and these Edenists are performers, and they do performance art, which is very odd. No other way to describe it.
Check out some videos. I think there's some stuff online. Did you guys take in any of the shows, or can you talk about any of the shows on the ship? Yes,
we actually did a couple of them. There was one, Kaleidoscope was one of their big main shows. It was really good. I would actually see that one again. We saw Midsummer's Night Dream, and Dave and I saw that one of the nights, and it was good but weird. it's sort of like Eden that jumped on the stage. There are just these performers doing just random things, but then also some aerial stuff. Celebrity does a lot of Cirque style performances as their performances, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So they incorporated some of that Cirque style in a few of their shows. One of the shows was that jewelry box that's supposed to be really good. That one got moved from the night it was originally supposed to be in because the seas were really rough. It was really rough. It was so rough. The next day we got to Costa Maya, which a lot of times gets canceled because it's in this weird like peninsula and the wind just rips through there. I thought we were going to pull away from the moorings or whatever. But then B, I was shocked the next morning when we were actually docked because this ship was bouncing all over the place. Now, we were deck 12 forward. No, we were deck 15 forward. And so because of that height and the location of us, we were going to get knocked around a little bit more. But this ship was getting knocked around by that wind so much. I am shocked that we actually made it the whole day. But I guess at some point, once they did dock and let people off, they have to stay because what are you going to do? Like, there's people. There's people out, doing whatever it is one does in Costa Maya, the excursions. Yeah, it was super windy that day. And then it rained, of course. But the night they were supposed to do the jewelry box, they couldn't do the jewelry box because of the wind. And they moved it to some American Idol performer who people said was good, but I had no interest in seeing a random American Idol performer perform on our ship. But music and stuff like that. So we had actually gone to the show, sat there. It was not the show we thought. After a few songs, we got up and left.
Okay. And the shows are included with the price of the cruise? Okay.
It's a round stage. And so there's really no backstage.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
And the sight lines were fantastic. And even some of the aisles were pretty wide in different areas, so like you could move about pretty easily. It was a very nice theater. Yeah,
much more. I mean, you could do a lot more with it rather than just having the traditional theater with just a stage in front of you. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out with Disney. I'm really curious what Disney's going to do. Well, let's turn to the ports themselves. You guys got a Key West, Costa Maya, Cozumel, Grand Cayman. Why don't you hit each one of them and talk about highlights there of things that you might have done or your thoughts on each one of them?
Key West was the first one, and that was the day it was a little bit cooler, sunny but cool. I actually was hungover that morning, so this was the first full day. And when I, in hindsight, thought back to my previous day, my cousin is a horrible influence. We had started drinking with our lunch at like 12:30 and, drank until 11. So, and maybe not heavily the whole time, but consistently. And so that would be the reason that I woke up the next day hungover. So we had spa appointments to get our nails done. So we did that in the morning. It was nice. And then we did not. I think we were going to lunch after that, and we decided not to get off in Key West.
Okay.
But you can do like a trolley tour, and actually some of my clients did a trolley tour. There's obviously just their Celebrity even sponsored a pub crawl in Key West. So a lot of that, there's shopping. That's what we were thinking of doing. We decided not to get off at that point.
Okay. And how about Costa Maya?
Costa Maya. So that is a man-made port, if you will, that the cruise lines made to give one additional location in the Western Caribbean to go to. And so they have like a little shopping area. There's a pool. There is like a beach club that you can get to up the road a little bit. We ended up not getting off in that port either. It was actually interesting. We thought the weather was worse, and some people said even a half an hour into the port, though, it wasn't as rainy, but it was super windy, and it was a little bit cool. So we did not get off. That will be the trend of the tour.
Well, how about Cozumel and Grand Cayman? And if you didn't get off there, what are any highlights there that you've done in the past that people might look into doing?
So Cozumel has pretty much everything. They have scuba diving, and actually at one point Jennifer and I were going to go scuba diving in Cozumel. We're both certified, but we opted to drink instead, which is probably horrible. So we had canceled our scuba tours, but you could go diving, you can go snorkeling. There's dolphin excursions there. There is shopping right off the port, and actually they did. My mom and Jennifer walked off, and then I stayed with my son. They walked off at one point and did a little bit of shopping. We were going to, actually, Blake and Dave and I, just walk out to see the port. And then literally we got downstairs to exit the ship and a monsoon started and it proceeded to rain the rest of the time in the port. There's a bunch of beach breaks you can do. So there's all-inclusive beach breaks or there's pay-as-you-go. So there's some different options of things to do in Cozumel.
Cozumel is also where you can go out to the pyramids too, right? Out to Chichen Itza?
Yes.
They run tours. I know it's not in Cozumel. Cozumel's an island, but you have to get over to the mainland to go to those tours.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then on to Grand Cayman?
Grand Cayman. So this day we actually did the dolphin excursion.
Cool. Well, talk a little bit about that. I saw some pictures.
Yeah, we weren't sure how it was going to go with Blake. And so, but I really wanted to do it. We actually had a good amount of onboard credit from booking on a previous Celebrity cruise, and then I just kept transferring it to get to this ship. So we had a lot of onboard credit that we got to spend. And I was able to get this dolphin excursion. Blake is finally a little bit older and was able to experience some of these. We did the push-pull, and I feel like there was one more name to that excursion, and the turtle farm. So we went to the turtle farm as well that's in Grand Cayman. And I feel like Disney stopped selling the turtle farm, and there was some like rumor or backhanded comment that it had something to do with if you go into the restaurant of the turtle farm, they actually do serve turtle. I don't know if that was the reason they stopped selling the turtle farm as an excursion, but you can, when Disney stops at Grand Cayman, go to the turtle farm on your own. I don't believe they do it as part of an excursion anymore. So anyway, we did both. So we met you meet in a certain area, they pull you off. Grand Cayman's a tender port, and so they tendered us to the port. Our excursion was actually with a Carnival. There were people from Carnival on our excursion as well. And so we were just a group of maybe 15 people or so. They took us over to the turtle farm and dolphin aquarium or whatever it's called, which was about 25 minutes from the port. They're across from a parking lot from each other, so both of those locations are right in the same area. The turtle farm, they didn't give us very much time on, but we got to spend about 20 minutes, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes. So there was a portion of it that is guided where they talk to you about it, and then they let you walk around for a short period until you move on to go to the dolphin section. The pro tip I have two tips. One is right when you get to the turtle farm, they're going to give you a turtle and they're going to try to sell you a picture. Well, I was like, I don't want to buy a picture right now. I just didn't want to deal with it at the moment. So I'm like, no thanks, I'm not buying it. And I would tell people, definitely don't buy the picture at the turtle farm, because 1 second later, you get free range to take your own pictures with your own cameras at the turtle farm. So they try to sell you a picture, but you definitely don't have to buy that picture. We got to pick up and hold turtles, different size turtles. So they were littler, not like the itty bitty baby turtles, but still small turtles. There were tanks that you could walk in to get to the turtles. They make you like sanitize ahead of time before and actually after you get out of these different tanks. It was super fun. Blake loved it. He had a blast. We all did. And then my second tip is that if you're doing this type of excursion, bring a snack, because they don't really give you an opportunity to buy anything, but it's a good number of hours. Well, it's maybe a 3 to 4 hour tour overall, but it's over lunch. So we actually just brought some different foods to eat, and you'll have a few minutes in between the turtle and the dolphin to be able to have snacks. So I would suggest people do that. Then we went over to the dolphin experience, where they talked to us about dolphins a little bit. Then they gave us some instructions on what we're going to do in the aquarium. There were 2 different dolphin experiences going on. One set of people had dolphin adventure, and those were the people that were going into the water with the dolphins and were actually going to be pushed and pulled by the dolphins. And then the other set of people were just having a bit of an education. And then I think they got to touch the dolphin and kiss the dolphin. So we got to do the touch and the kiss plus the push and the pull, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? What did Blake think about that?
Oh my God, he still thinks it's the coolest thing that he's ever done. Blake loved it. We loved it. We loved watching him. So first, when you get in the water with the dolphins, they have 2 dolphins for every set of people. And again, I think there was maybe 10 people in our group here, and they had a couple of different instructors. I don't know what they would be called. So one set sort of working with half of the group and another set working with the other half. At first, we saw the push and the pull where the dolphin is actually pushing you and you lay on a kickboard. Have you ever done it?
I've seen it in Hawaii, and I'm looking at pictures right here on Disney's website. It looks like kind of like one of those. I've totally drawn a blank. It's
like a kickboard.
Yeah, it's like a boogie board.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is like that. So like a boogie board or a kickboard, you swim out a bit, you lay on this thing, you hold it in a certain area, and you keep your legs straight, and the dolphin comes and with his nose pushes your feet across the water. It is kind of intense.
Wow.
So it's a pretty long distance. This was the day after I'd actually fallen down the stairs in my room, and I was actually a little bit stiff. I got stiff after this dolphin experience. So it made, I think between the fall and the effort for the dolphin thing, it stiffened up my body a little bit, but it was so cool. So then they also do it where you just swim back out to this point, wherever they tell you, and you get ready in a certain position, and then the dolphin comes up under you, and you hold on to the fins, and the dolphin's actually on its back, and it swims you across the water.
Oh, wow.
It was so cool. And so then Blake was like, I want to do it. And so I was like, well, I paid for him to do it, so he should get to. But we weren't sure how logistically it was going to work, like if he was going to ride with Dave or what. And so actually they were like, we got it. So they had a smaller dolphin, like a little bit younger dolphin, and they had the younger dolphin come and get Blake, so it wasn't so intense for one. Dave swam him out and stayed with him to position him. So Blake still had to have his legs straight. He did half the distance. And again, he's 5.5. So even if you had an 8 or a 10-year-old, they would have had him do the whole distance. But we all felt that half the distance was good. We had no idea how this was going to go. It took a couple of runs for the dolphin to be able, Blake to be in the right position for the dolphin to pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so cool. His face, oh my God. It was funny because I told that camera person, I'm like, whatever, you're going to sell me all the pictures. I want every single picture. Take 1,000,000 good pictures because I'm going to buy them. His face, he was beaming. So I'm actually wondering if we're going to have a little bit more of a daredevil because it moves pretty fast. You move pretty fast in this water. So I'll be curious to see if he adventures into some more roller coasters or more of the thrill rides at Disney because of it.
Incredicoaster, here you come.
I don't think we're there yet, but maybe Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. We weren't even there yet.
Yeah, no.
So, Goofy's Barnstormer was definitely enough of his thrill that he was going to do. So anyway, it was very much the coolest experience and is very memorable for us. I am so glad we did it.
Oh, what an awesome day. I'm looking at Disney's site for people traveling on Disney. You're right, they don't sell the turtle farm anymore, so if you want to do that, you're going to have to book that yourself, but they do have the dolphin encounter and the extreme swim like you're talking about, so you can book that through Disney if you like, if you're heading to Grand Cayman anytime soon. So, well, cool. Anything else at Grand Cayman that you guys did?
No, that was it. That day ended up being the most perfect weather day. It was hot. It was beautiful. We ended up going back to the ship and eating more of a lunch. So it was maybe our second lunch, if you will. So we ate a little bit at the dolphin thing, and then we ate the rest of it there and just, went on with the rest of the day. It was we went swimming again. Blake and I went swimming with my mom and my cousin. Because it was the one nice sunny day.
Well, a good way to end the cruise then. So when you guys get back to Fort Lauderdale, how was disembarkation similar? Oh, before we get to that, overall thoughts on Celebrity Edge and the cruise then?
Great cruise. I loved it. A couple of things. We had talked about this. There's not as much to do during the day, but Celebrity will still fill your day if you want it. You don't have to just sit and drink and sit by the pool. They have stuff, but they don't have a sports deck. They do have 2 ping pong tables, and then they come up with games. They have this room called the Club, which is a nightclub in the evening, but during the day they put out games and do different game times there. So there is some more stuff for people to actually do. One other thing that I definitely wanted to mention is on the food end, we all thought it was very good. And for one, my husband will die if I didn't say this. It was the best cheesecake he's ever had at sea, and one of the best cheesecakes he's ever had anywhere.
And I know he's a cheesecake connoisseur. Yes.
Yes. The real graham cracker crust. And I think we talked about this before, but he ended up having it 6 of the 7 nights, I think, or at least 5 of the nights. They finally ended up just starting to bring that for him every single night. He's like, I just want this cheesecake. But I did not get gluten at all.
Oh, nice.
And and I did not have any even minor reaction to anything. So their food was really great for me. And their buffet was really good. And so I just definitely want to talk about this really quick. They had like a ton of really unique foods for everybody to eat, but then also just had the nice plain foods. Like my husband is a nice plain meat and potatoes person. And so they had that as well. But they had some really great unique foods. And then the buffet is all labeled. Their food, most of the food is labeled with allergy signs so that you could say whether it was vegetarian or gluten-free or dairy-free. So what I did is I just walked through, looked to see what said gluten-free. Then I asked for a chef, and then I asked them to get me that from the back, and that worked out really well. I think we ate in the buffet for lunch about 3 or 4 times, and that all worked out really well. Celebrity also has drink package that Disney does not have, and their drink package is awesome, and it's included in the cruise fare for most people because most cabin types from an ocean view, I believe, and above include one perk, and a perk that you can select, and the most expensive perk is the drink package for guests 1 and 2 in the cabin, so the first 2 guests, and it's a pretty extensive, even their basic drink package that is included as a perk covers a lot of really good liquors. So one other thing, and this is what we did spend maybe another day and a half, is we ended up buying a diamond for me on this cruise.
What?
Ring? Yeah.
You didn't have a diamond already?
Well, I kind of didn't. So I had my wedding band, and then I actually was wearing my mom's engagement ring, which is still nice, but it wasn't like, one that we had bought and picked out and for all this. So we had been going back and forth, and in theory, we would have waited a couple more years for like one of the quote unquote bigger anniversaries. But when I was drunk the first night of the cruise, my cousin and I went and looked at diamonds, and I apparently made an appointment for the next day. I made several appointments that day that my mom reminded me about the next day for both meeting the diamond person and meeting up with some of my clients later in that evening. And they brought some of the diamonds to our cabin, and we were playing with them. It is so fun to do that, by the way, and they will do that for anybody who's interested. And we had the most fun playing with diamonds ever. It was a pretty good deal. That's all I have to say. Like, we did research it ahead of time, and we looked, and I received it, but they are going to make a change to it. So I'm sending it back to them, and they're going to fix one thing and send it back to me. But their customer service has been amazing, and I understand this company, the Joseph whatever company, Avia or something with an A, does all of the fine jewelry on celebrity ships. So this is the same company you would be dealing with if you dealt with them anywhere. But it was super fun. It was it was a cool experience to be able to play with all these diamonds. Then these people were having me just walk around with like one diamond I put on, I did not buy this diamond, was $100,000.
Oh, you were walking around with it?
And I was walking around, like, just in the store. And I'm like, why? And finally I go, I need you to give me a tray so I could put my hand on something. Like I said, we had been drinking a lot that day.
Yeah.
And so I got to have a $100,000 diamond on my hand. That was super fun.
Wow.
Then the casino. We didn't talk about the casino. The casino was packed. And on cruise radio, he asked one day when he first did his Edge cruise, I wonder if Celebrity will change the casino because it's smoke free, and will it make people not go there? I love the fact that it's smoke free. All of Celebrity ships have a smoke free casino, and that casino was packed. And we actually got $10 on that first night of free. We got $10 of slot machine credit for each adult in the cabin. So I actually went upstairs. Dave was putting Blake to bed, and I went and grabbed his card so that I could get him the free credit as well. We lost. But my mom and my cousin, I think, they actually won some money. So that was just some extra random fun things. Casino was super fun and was jam-packed every night.
Well, all cool experiences on board. Just remind me not to let Anaway go with you on a cruise.
Yeah, really.
And out partying without me, because I'd probably end up with some type of appointment the next day too. But,
you might. Yeah. It was random. My husband's like, "What now?"
Yeah. Where am I going? 100,000 diamond? Yeah. Okay, so let's go to let's wrap it up. Just a couple more questions. Disembarkation, was it kind of similar as was it as easy to get off as it was to get on?
It was super easy, and they used biometrics, and even Blake's biometrics worked. So he walked up and had to look in the little machine, and they said, yeah, you're good, and moved us all along. It was so quick.
Okay, perfect. And did you guys Uber back and forth from the airport, or how'd you guys go? Just out of curiosity.
We did Uber.
Okay. Yeah, Uber's like so easy these days.
Yes.
It seems like.
Celebrity has a luggage valet, so you pay $25, although in suites, certain levels of suites or suites, I'm not sure if it was all suites or some levels, but I didn't have to pay. But they will take your luggage and they get it all the way home. You would pay the luggage fee if you had it through, but if you are excluded either through a credit card or status or things like that, and you don't pay for luggage, or you are on an airline that doesn't charge for luggage, otherwise they would have put that right on your C card, but your luggage makes it all the way home.
Well, that's kind of nice. You didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah, it was super nice.
Yeah. So just a couple of questions as we finish up. For those who have not been on Celebrity, booking-wise, any thoughts on when to book a Celebrity cruise? Is it as pertinent as Disney, book it as soon as you can? I know we can't cover all the different aspects of it, but just overall thoughts on booking a Celebrity cruise?
The prices seem to go up as time goes on. So similar to Disney, in theory, you get the cheapest price. Celebrity will adjust your price down if you do see it for cheaper. So a person, even if they use a travel agent, can look themselves, and their travel agent sometimes will have a system that'll send an email when the price drops as well. So there's some different avenues. There's actually, with Celebrity and the way they allow groups, there are some times where travel agents can get specialty pricing, where their pricing is actually cheaper than the advertised price, and it's not because they're rebating, which is a term we don't have to get into, but that's when travel agents give back some of their money. It's not even doing that. It's that Celebrity is charging because a travel agency will set up a certain group. They just charge those people a little bit less, and that price is set in stone. So Celebrity does have now some non-refundable fares, but sometimes with that group pricing, you can still have it be refundable. So that would be something that is a definite pro and a definite reason to talk to a travel agent.
And then also booking onboard experiences like the spa that you guys went to, is that pertinent to do that ahead of time, or was that pretty easy to book when you were on board?
I feel like it was still going to be pretty easy to book on board. And my cousin booked a massage somewhere in there, and my mom did something else. So you could book all that stuff as time was going on during the cruise. We knew that we wanted to get our nails done right that first morning. Plus, again, I had that onboard credit. And you can use your onboard credit to pay for your experiences. So unlike Disney that charges you after the cruise is over for what you book, on Celebrity, you get charged when you book it. But if you have onboard credit, you can use your onboard credit to pay for the things that you booked.
I know the Sea Days, I was looking at for our cruise coming up, the Sea Days, the spa fills up pretty quickly, depending upon what you want done. So maybe the same thing. If you know you want to do something on another cruise line on a certain day, probably better to book it ahead of time, but it's good to know that you could probably fit something in once you're on board as well.
Absolutely. And you can cancel within 24 hours. So as long as it's 24 hours before, you can cancel.
Perfect. So, one last thing that we really haven't talked about, this was a group cruise for you, right?
It was.
So for those of you interested, do you have any more coming up in the future?
I don't have one that I am booked on, but our agency, actually, I've been pricing out for some people different cruises that our agency price is $1,000 lower than for the same cabin in certain cabins than the advertised Celebrity price. So we have some really good pricing.
So if this is something that interests you, and I've never really thought about that as far as like booking with a group like that, and it fits into your time frame, where can people find information about that, Christy?
They can reach out to me. So find me and then contact me, which you can find me. We'll talk on the social media, Pack Your Pixie Dust on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You could actually search Pack Your Pixie Dust, but it's also Pack YR Pixie Dust. And then my website also has an about and a contact section, so you can reach out that way.
So if you're interested in saving some money on a group-type cruise, reach out to Christy, and she might be able to save you some serious cash going on a Celebrity cruise or another cruise line.
Yeah, and you don't have to be with the rest of the people in the group. So I had about 5 or 6 different groups of people within my group cruise, and they didn't have to mingle or sit by each other or associate with each other. They did their own thing, but the people that were traveling together could still travel together just like they always did, but they got the benefit of the specialty group pricing.
No, that's perfect. It kind of bundled the group together to get a better price, but you don't necessarily have to be social with everybody else in the group.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, cool. Well, I guess as we finish up, the one other thing that we'll look out for is yours and Jennifer's Drinking Around the Ship blog that we're going to... When we finally get our Patreon page put together, maybe that could be like an extra Drinking Around the Fantasy with Jennifer and Christy. She can give you some tips and hints along that way.
Drink water. I think we did hydrate we remembered to hydrate.
I'm just kind of playing around with you. So, well, all right.
It was so fun though.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's going to wrap up our show today. I really want to thank everybody for coming back and taking a listen. Between now and then, Christy kind of threw her stuff out there. PackYourPixieDust.com, Packwire Pixie Dust on Twitter, and on Pack Your Pixie Dust on Facebook. You can also reach me, Steve, or Christy at DCL Podcast on Facebook, and then it's me on Twitter at DCL Podcast. And can you remind the listeners one more time about Instagram?
It's DCL_podcast.
DCL_podcast. And if you're interested in taking over the Instagram and you know how to do that, reach out to us and we'll see if we can get that done and see if we can turn that into a little bit of fun for everybody.
Yeah, at a minimum, just send me your pictures and I'll post them. And especially good if you can send me a blurb about your picture and what your Instagram handle is so that I can tag you back in the photo.
Perfect. Anything else before we close out the show, Christy?
That's it.
Okay, well, thanks again. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming back and taking a listen. If you're heading out on your next trip between now and our next show, all of us here, Christy and I at the DCL Podcast, would like to wish you fair winds and safe travels as you head out on your next adventure. Once again, thanks for coming back and taking a listen. We'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Good night, Christy.
Bye.